Step back nearly 2,000 years into the world of the Roman Empire, a civilization of dazzling cities, powerful armies, and strict social hierarchies. But life in Rome wasn't one size fits all. A senator in the capital, a farmer in Gaul, a soldier on Hadrian's Wall, and a slave in Spain all lived radically different realities. In this video, we'll explore what daily life looked like across the empire, from bustling streets and grand baths to the harsh grind of rural farms and mines. To understand it, we can break it down into a few key areas: the city of Rome itself, the provinces, social hierarchy, and the ever-present reality of the Roman state. 1. The Caput Mundi. Life in the city of Rome at its height. Rome was the largest city in the ancient world, with over 1 million inhabitants. It was a chaotic, magnificent, and brutal place. The physical environment, the insulae and the domus. The vast majority of Romans lived in insulae, apartment blocks. These were poorly constructed, fire-prone, and dangerously tall, some up to 6 or 7 stories. Families lived in cramped, dark rooms without running water or sanitation. They were noisy, crowded, and rent was a constant worry. The rich, the elite, lived in a domus, a private house centered around an atrium, grand reception hall, and a peristylum, garden courtyard. These were oases of quiet, decorated with frescoes, mosaics, and running water from lead pipes. Public spaces. The city was defined by its public spaces: the Forum, the heart of political, religious, and commercial life; the Circus Maximus, a massive chariot racing stadium that held 150,000 to 250,000 people, and grand bath complexes. Daily routine. The Roman day began at dawn. The wealthy would receive clients in their homes in a ritual called the salutatio. Work, business, and politics occupied the morning and early afternoon. The baths, thermae, in the afternoon. Romans of all classes would head to the baths. These were not just for washing. They were massive leisure complexes with libraries, gyms, gardens, and restaurants. The ritual involved moving through a series of rooms: the tepidarium, warm; caldarium, hot; and frigidarium, cold. It was the central social institution of the empire. Entertainment. The evening was for dinner, cena, and entertainment. The most famous entertainments were the gladiatorial games and chariot racing. These were politically charged, tribal affairs, with factions like the Blues and Greens. The Colosseum could hold 50,000 spectators for naval battles, animal hunts, and executions, which were all seen as a form of justice and public spectacle, not just sport. Food and sustenance. The diet was simple for most: Paname circenses, bread and circuses. The staple was grain, distributed for free or at a subsidized price to hundreds of thousands of Roman citizens. The average person ate porridge, bread, olives, cheese, and vegetables. The wealthy, however, indulged in lavish banquets with exotic birds, dormice, and fish sauce, garum, imported from across the empire. 2. The social ladder. Hierarchy is everything. Roman society was rigidly hierarchical, and your life was determined by your status. The emperor, at the top, was the princeps, first citizen, whose authority was absolute, though the fiction of the republic was maintained for centuries. The emperor controlled the military, foreign policy, and had immense wealth. The senators and equestrians, the elite classes. Senators held the highest offices and had vast landholdings. The equites, equestrians, were the business class, handling imperial finances, tax collection, and military command. Competition among these elites was fierce, often leading to political intrigue, exile, or death. The plebeians, the common Roman citizens. They were free and had rights, but their power was often expressed through collective action and their role as the mob in the capital. They were fiercely proud of their citizenship. The freedmen and women. A unique aspect of Roman society was the freedman, a former slave. They could become extremely wealthy and influential, often managing their former masters' businesses. They were a crucial part of the social mobility within the empire. Slaves. Slavery was fundamental to the Roman economy and social order. Slaves had no legal rights and were considered property. Their lives varied wildly. A slave in a wealthy household could be educated and wield influence, while a slave in the ergastulum, a rural prison, or in the mines faced a life of brutal, short misery. Large-scale slave revolts, like that of Spartacus, were the empire's greatest fear. 3. Beyond the capital, life in the provinces. The Roman Empire was not just Rome. It was a vast network of provinces, from Britain to North Africa, from Spain to Syria. Romanization. The empire's success was built on integrating local elites. To be Roman was more a cultural and legal status than an ethnic one. Provincial elites built Roman-style cities, with forums, baths, and amphitheaters, to gain citizenship and status. Cities like Leptis Magna, Libya, Ephesus, Turkey, and Nîmes, France, were as sophisticated as Rome itself. The army. For many provincials, the army was the path to citizenship. A soldier served for 25 years, and upon retirement, was granted land and full Roman citizenship. The army was the empire's backbone, not just as a fighting force but as a driver of engineering, trade, and culture along the frontiers lines. The countryside. The vast majority of the empire's population, over 80%, were rural farmers, living on valley, large estates, or small farms. They were tied to the land, vulnerable to bandits, tax collectors, and the whims of a distant landlord. Their lives were dictated by the seasons, not the politics of the Senate. 4. The glue that held it together. What made this vast, diverse, and unequal empire function for centuries? The army, a professional, highly disciplined fighting force that guarded frontiers, built roads, and enforced the emperor's will. Law and citizenship, a sophisticated legal system that, over time, extended citizenship to free people across the empire, most famously by Caracalla in 212 CE. This created a sense of shared identity. Infrastructure. The famous Roman roads, aqueducts, and ports were not just marvels of engineering, they were arteries of control. They allowed for rapid troop movement, efficient tax collection, and a unified market economy. Paganism and tolerance. Early on, Roman religion was a polytheistic contract with the gods, do et des. The empire was generally tolerant of local gods and customs, as long as people paid homage to the emperor and the Roman state. This tolerance was severely tested and eventually broken with the rise of monotheistic religions, particularly Christianity, which refused to participate. 5. The constant of mortality. Underlying every aspect of Roman life was the reality of high mortality. Life expectancy at birth was around 20-30 years, largely due to high infant mortality. If you survived to adulthood, you could expect to live into your 50s or 60s, but death from disease, childbirth, for women, warfare, or accident was a constant companion. In short, life in the Roman Empire was a study in extremes. It was a world of immense wealth and abject poverty, of sophisticated law and casual brutality, of grand public works and squalid private housing. It offered opportunities for social mobility and citizenship unlike any other pre-modern state, but it was built on a foundation of slavery and relentless military expansion. For the average person, life was defined by their status and their location. A Roman citizen living in a city had rights, a voice, however small, and access to the bread and circuses. A provincial farmer or a slave had few rights but lived within a system that, at its best, offered the Pax Romana, a level of stability, connectivity, and safety that would not be seen in Europe for another 1,000 years after its fall.